Here's another hexahedron cluster, and it's right on a building, on the side of a building. That's a few kilometers from me, maybe 5 kilometers, but look at the size of it and how large it is. That's a hexahedron cluster. Even in the daytime it's visible how large it is. I'll just back off. Look at the size of that thing. That's right on the side of a building, and that's a huge building, 30 stories. Look at the size of that cluster, and look at that building. It's covered in those things. Anything down by the lake, you can't see that area. I'm just gonna back out to show that. Look at the fog over that entire area. You can't see the city at all. It's like a huge fog. Anything near the lake is in a fog. There's a fog around here too, but not as bad. Just look at the size of that cluster. That is not a light. It's too early for lights. That is obviously outside the building. It's not inside. It's just hovering there outside the building. I'm surprised people don't notice it because it's big enough. It looks the size of an apartment complex. Those are condominiums, and each one of those windows represents a condominium. So that thing is as large as a condominium, and no one is saying anything about it, and that amazes me. Look at all the entities in the air in that area. You can't even see the building. That is not a natural fog. Those are all living entities that are creating the fog, and you can see them moving around very clearly. And that's a huge cluster right there. Last time I filmed clusters, I filmed them, they went from high above the city down to the just over the top of the buildings. Now they've come down even below the top of the buildings, and they're around mid-section of a building, maybe a little closer to the top. But the clusters are getting larger, and there are more entities around them. As you can see, that's a huge cluster, and it has zillions of entities all around it that are revolving counterclockwise around that active nucleus, which is glowing. And look at all the entities, just more and more. They're coming off the ground, powering up there, revolving around the nucleus, and when they charge up enough, they go for the sky. And then they pretend that they're clouds up in the sky. And they form clouds in the sky, but the clouds are not normal looking. The clouds are usually black, dark clouds. Look at how many of them there are. In about 5 minutes, that building will be invisible, and that's a 30-story building at the very least. That one cluster there, and that cluster nucleus is going to bring in so many entities, you won't be able to see the building any longer. And nobody is doing anything about this. They're waiting for these things to come right inside your house and do whatever they want. And practically speaking, you deserve it, because nobody is doing anything to stop them. Not one person and not one agency. So it's too late later to cry wolf. When they mature and start hunting, they've already eaten all the trees, all the birds, everything imaginable around this city. You wake up in the morning, there's no birds singing or anything. It's not at all like it used to be. It's like a dead silence. If there are any bird sounds, they are all synthetic, and you can tell that they're not natural. Just look at all those entities, how many there are. I'm just gonna leave it there for a while, and I'll watch you see that building just vanish, because there'll be so many entities all around it and in front of it that it'll just vanish. That's how thick the air is with these things. And this is Toronto, Canada, downtown, right by the lake. I think this is amazing that no one is paying any attention whatsoever to this and just ignoring the whole thing. That just seems incredible to me. As you can see, the building is disappearing slowly. When the organisms pile up in that area to a certain density, then that building will be invisible. You can see their counterclockwise rotation if you pay attention. They are moving at a very fast speed. That's their harmonics. Their vibrations, velocities, and rotations and revolutions are super fast. And that's one of the main reasons why we can't see them. Only when they bunch up like that together can we see the mass and distinguish some type of movement. But otherwise, they are invisible to our eyes, and we can't hear them because they move so fast. It's above our hearing ability. The pitch is too high. You can only hear them if you slow this video down. Then you can hear the noise that they make. As you can see, now the building is almost invisible. You can't even make out windows or floors. It's going to be harder and harder as more organisms join in that cluster. And you can see that this is not any light, because the light would not be dissipating or getting stronger or anything that this thing is doing. It would just be staying on without any change at all. As you can tell, looking at this, these are living entities, and there's a lot of them, and they're all over this city. All over this city. And this is very disheartening when I see this happening and no one paying attention. No one caring about what these things can do or what they will do, and what we can do to stop them. No one is even thinking of that. Most people would rather turn their heads the other way and ignore that it's even happening. But that's not going to make these things go away or change their plans that they have in store for us. So I suggest you start paying attention real fast before you have no time to do anything about it. These things are not going to just stop here. They have plans. They're intelligent, and they have plans. And we're not part of their plans. Okay, so as you can tell, that building is just disappearing more and more. I want to use the camera while it's still daylight to try and capture something else.